All ears were trained on Budget Secretary Florencio Abad yesterday as he defended the DAP before the Senate Finance Committee, while senators honed in on the supposedly unconstitutional transfer of funds between government agencies. Abad insisted the practice is legal under the law. Joyce Ilas reports.
Budget Secretary Butch Abad faced the Senate to clear the air over the controversial Disbursement Acceleration Program. During the hearing, Abad considered allegations. The government tried to conceal the creation and implementation of DAP as ridiculous. He explained that in October 2011, the DBM presented the DAP before the Senate Finance Committee, which was then headed by Senator Franklin Drilon.
The DBM announced the existence of DAP from its very inception. The launching of DAP was covered by major broadsheets.
Several senators earlier claimed they only heard about the DAP late last year. Abad said by the third quarter of 2011, the country's gross domestic product only reached 3.1%, compared to the 7.1% GDP growth posted in the third quarter of 2010, due to the government's slow spending. To turn things around, Abad said the Development Budget Coordinating Committee decided to create a DAP aimed to serve as the government's urgent response to the slow economic development in 2011. Abad reiterated the DAP was based on Administrative Code of 1987, which allows the president to suspend the use of funds allotted to an agency if public interest requires, and that savings in the General Appropriations Act may be used to settle the obligations of priority programs that will boost the country's economy. While the Supreme Court agreed that DAP benefited the public, it also declared several parts of DAP unconstitutional. Abad tried to justify these provisions. He explained the government operates on a use-it-or-lose-it basis, meaning agencies will have to use funds as quickly and as efficiently as possible in the first 6 months of the year. Otherwise, they will lose the allocation, which will be considered savings. The Supreme Court declared unconstitutional the withdrawal of unobligated allotments from implementing agencies before the end of the year. Abad also claims there is interdependence among agencies because they belong to one government. This is why they allowed a cross-border transfer of savings from one government branch to another, which the Supreme Court declared unconstitutional. Abad said the government released a total of 144.3 billion pesos in DAP funds. Meanwhile, Senate President Franklin Drilon came to Abad's defense and helped clarify the use of DAP funds. Drilon emphasized that except for Senator Panfilo Lacson, all lawmakers from the Senate and the House of Representatives received DAP, including Bayan Muna Party List, which endorsed the impeachment complaint against President Aquino over DAP. Several lawmakers claimed DAP was used to bribe senators to convict former Chief Justice Renato Corona in his impeachment trial. Drilon also stressed that the use of savings to fund projects and cross-border transfers have long been practiced in the government.
Mayroong mga savings na inilipat from the executive to Congress and to the Ombudsman.
Tama ho yan, Mr.
And
Chairman.
etc. down the line, 1997, 1998, 1999, 2000, etc.
On the other hand, opposition Senator Nancy Binay questioned Abad why the Commission on Audit was still given 143 million pesos in DAP funds for the hiring of additional experts and litigators, even if the agency still has 3.5 billion pesos in savings. Upon Binay's questioning, Abad admitted the list of DAP projects it released to the public is incomplete. Consequently, Abad admitted there were some projects funded by government savings but not classified under DAP. Such is the case of the 4.1 billion peso funds the DBM granted to Comelec for its purchase of the precinct count optical scan machines. Binay and Senate Finance Committee Chairman Francis Escudero also grilled Abad for realigning the approved budgets of different projects under the General Appropriations Act in the middle of the year to fund other projects under DAP.
So why ask for a budget when alam niyo naman na may mga issues pa dun sa proyekto na yon? Let's move to another point.
No, stress test man, bidding man, hindi ko na alam kung anong dahilan. But why was it proposed to begin with? and then reallocated to projects that Congress did not even know about anymore. When you were upper chair, Secretary, it was a common complaint among congressmen, if you remember.
Abad explained it was realized in the middle of the year that there were structural problems with some projects which led to their postponement or cancellation. Escudero vowed to be stricter in the coming budget deliberation to prevent realignments and cross-border transfers in the 2015 budget. It took Budget Secretary Butch Abad almost 7 hours to explain DAP to senators. But Senate Finance Committee Chairman Francis Escudero says this may not yet be the last hearing on DAP. What is certain, though, is that all the provisions of DAP which were declared unconstitutional will not be included in the General Appropriations Act, and that those who violate this will be penalized. Joyce Ilas reporting.